Hello, everybody. Welcome back to With Wisdom, Embodying Energy and Embracing Seasons. And my name is Sam. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm joined by.
I'm Gabriela. Welcome, everybody. Happy to be here again with you, Sam, and
Ah,
everybody watching us.
absolutely. And we're in this sort of recording now for the second week of August. We were chatting in our first session about we are now moving into late summer. So, Gabby, tell us more about what is it we're experiencing and thinking about now?
So, either if you have watched our first episode of August or you haven't watched it, we have been evoking the late or the August months, like this transition between the fiery experiences and emotionality and being outside to the earth energy where we harvest and gather what all this experience and the fruits of the seeds we planted in spring, and how this transitional time can have or everything can be present in there, no, the
Mm,
sense of gratitude, acknowledgement of what have been done and experienced, the joy with sharing, and on the same time you might feel overwhelmed, sad, angry. So it's not one or the other, it's everything can coexist in the same time. And we were sharing how it is part of this heart energy, no?
mm,
To be able to contain and be a vessel for all of that, and together with the earth to have the capacity to digest. And today
mm,
we come back with an offering on how or to be with all what we evoke in the first episode opening
mm.
August, and Sam has something for us today. So Sam, please.
So being with all of that and
Mm,
going from this heightened state of a lot of emotion and then earthing, from the heart to the compassion and the empathy that we're feeling, and we're earthing. And
mhm.
we came up together actually. Gabby, sort of shared this with me as well. And it's a Hindu parable, and it's shared by coach, therapist.
He's
I'm not quite sure.
a spiritual teacher, Mark Nip.
Spiritual, yeah, spiritual teacher Mark Nepo, which is called Become a Lake. And it kind
Mm,
of fitted really well, I think, with the work that Gabby and I do as well together, out of this, in terms of supporting our clients to and our people that we work with to really make sure that they have some good kind of ways to support themselves through
mm,
periods of transitions,
mm,
through tending to their boundaries and tending to their borderlines, or their hedges or something
mm,
around keeping themselves safe whilst they're going through transition. And this is all about a body of water. So you might think about it as I'm saying the words and then reflect on it after. But to get you and me into the right frame of mind to read this and share this, we're
mhm.
going to just do a little body movement, if that's all right with you. Maybe, Gabby, you can join me. If you don't want to, it's absolutely fine.
And
So
all
to
for it.
start with, we're moving from this sort of period of high energy, high summer, all the feelings around us. There's the anger, there's the joy, there's the rage. It's just all around us. So I'm going to just kind of shake away a little bit, just kind of give myself a little bit of space by shaking off my body and then shrugging off my shoulders. And I'm going to come into seating when I'm feeling in that kind of, I've got a bit more space. I can literally feel a little bit more space around me by just doing that simple shape. And as I sit, I'm taking my attention to my feet. And when we're feeling that kind of state of overwhelm, bringing attention to our feet is just such an easy thing to do. Bringing our attention to our feet, we're grounding ourselves immediately. So wriggling my toes, I've taken off my shoes, wriggling my toes, I can feel my heel against the floor. And I'm also just noticing the space in between my toes and my heel, which is that kind of instep. And in that instep, I've got a feeling now of a beam of light. This is in my own imagination. I'm just beaming down through the floor, and it's just anchoring me.
Mm-hmm.
So that anchor is there. And in that beam of light, I'm also, it's almost like a two-way highway. I'm now feeling the earth energy holding me.
Mm-hmm.
You can really feel that. I'm being held. I'm hoping that if you're doing this with me, that you might be feeling that too. And my chair is holding me too, taking my attention to the way I'm sitting on my chair. I can
Mm-hmm.
really feel that my chair is holding me. Now I feel I'm ready to share the story as I've grounded myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've supported myself with my chair. So I've given myself some space around my body. And as I read the words, I want you to just see how they kind of resonate. I know that's a word that we use quite a lot, but how they affect you. You know, what is the impact on you as I read the words?
Mm-hmm.
And if I take my attention over to the right hand side, it's because I'm reading the words. So just excuse that. Become a lake. An aging master grew tired of his apprentice complaining, and so one morning sent him for some salt. When the apprentice returned, the master instructed the unhappy young man to put a handful of salt in a glass of water and then to drink it. How does it taste? The master asked. Bitter, spit the apprentice. The master chuckled and then asked the young man to take the same handful of salt and put it in the lake. The two walked in silence to the nearby lake, and once the apprentice swirled his handful of salt in the water, the old man said, "Now drink from the lake." As the water dripped down the young man's chin, the master asked, "How does it taste?" "Fresh," remarked the apprentice. "Do you taste the salt?" asked the master. "No," said the young man. At this, the master sat beside the serious young man who so reminded him of himself and took his hands, offering, "The pain of life is pure salt, no more, no less. The amount of pain in life remains the same, exactly the same, but the amount of bitterness we taste depends on the container we put the pain in. So when you are in pain, the only thing you can do is enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass, become a lake." Just taking a moment's pause. How did those words impact on you, if at all?
Mm.
You don't have to share, but
No,
just
I'm
notice
happy
it.
to share. It's for me. I came across to this parable 3 years ago when I was going through a physical pain, but also linked to an emotional and yeah, an emotional pain. And it's so recomforting because I'll just go into my body. Of course, in my case, I have been practicing like 8 years or something, no, in being in the body with qigong and being that helps. But like having this sense how your physical limits can expand, you can maybe. So I feel actually how my chest, instead of being crunched, it feels more open and expanded.
Mm,
So when I listen to these words and to these symbols and this parable, it brings me to that place, no, in my already in my physical experience, but also it brings me to today. Before recording, I was sharing with you my own salt.
mm,
And that's a way of expanding your vessel, no? So there's the possibility to work it with you and your nervous system and your body, but also to expand your vessel to be witnessed and received by a loving person like you are for
mm,
me, and that can listen to your soul and help it be in a larger vessel and reminds you of Yeah, that there's not only this glass that you're feeling in your life
Mm.
when
So
you're,
the message was stop being a glass
yeah,
and become a lake. And so
yeah,
I think it's just, even when I was reading the words, I was actually sensing the words in me as I
mm,
read them.
mm,
It was not just me sharing it with you
mm,
and anybody else who's watching. It was also, I was sharing those words with myself. So I'm going to be taking that
mm,
through into the rest of August
mm,
when we're in that, or more so like this sort of tight senses of overwhelm.
mm,
Yeah, in sense of the overwhelm. So if I'm tasting too much salt, how do I expand the container?
mm.
How do I expand the container?
Yeah, and maybe between the glass and the lake, there's a pond and there's different shapes.
Mm,
Might not be able. I'm
to
talking.
go from this to a lake, yes.
I'm talking from my experience. So if it's of service of someone, sometimes we want to jump from one state to another, and we get frustrated, or we feel, I don't know, yeah, incapable to jump to that state because maybe it's not possible in that moment.
Mm,
So maybe if it's just a little, my invitation this month is even if it's just a little, maybe you become a bigger glass, or
mm,
maybe you become a bowl, and you
mm,
start to play around with these different vessels that you can be in the different forms. No, we were naming, and each person has a different way of becoming a larger vessel, sensing your body, enlarging, having this feeling of how you can expand your chest so you can actually change your position to feel that and
mm,
sense it, but also sharing and be witnessed by someone else can expand your vessel, or going out into nature and then expand your vessel from house to outside, writing. So there are many things, but also compassion and tenderness and kindness towards yourself. We were speaking in the first episode.
About that sympathy, like
Yeah,
extend some sympathy to
sympathy
you at this
towards
moment.
yeah,
Mm,
so be mindful, be caring, be loving towards yourself. Sometimes we cannot become fully a lake immediately.
mm.
Maybe you are a bigger, a
A
bigger
bigger cup.
up. So just go with love. It has been also, it's a training, it's a willingness, it's a fluid process. Some days you can be a bigger cup, some days you're a lake, some days
Mm,
you can resource yourself with the small joys. Every day there's so many joys. In Mark Nippon also he shared, he went through I think cancer or something like that, and he shared how he went through all his pain and misery and feeling so hopelessness and so all these things. And at some point when he was suffering from the pain, from the reality that he might die and all these things, he turned towards the sky and saw the sun shining. And he, at some point, it's of course be mindful and not don't do not force something you don't feel, but just seeing the sky and recognizing and acknowledging that in the same time that he was feeling all these things, misery and pain, and all, there was still also a sun.
yeah.
The sun is shining, and he could enjoy both. I mean, enjoy, no, be with both, enjoy the sun, be with his pain. And that's how he started to enlarge his vessel little by little,
Mm,
remembering that he was even in this um, terrible time he was living, he was able to access these things,
mm.
little joy.
Thank you, Gabby.
Yeah.
So we're leaving you with this reflection. I'm going to read that last bit. So when you're in pain, the only thing you can do is enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass, become a lake.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone watching us. This was With Wisdom, embodying energy, embracing seasons, and we invite you to leave us a comment, to interact with ourselves. We want this to be a live or a live space, and if you're feeling to subscribe, share, and let us know.
Mm.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Thank you.